I think that the hoax that has been put upon the nation by the oil monopoly is affecting black and white workers alike. I think that it should have the effect of black and white workers uniting to save their jobs rather than remaining disunited to save the color of their skins. And I think that the real effect of this crisis is economic. And to that extent, workers in the Seattle area and in Detroit and other places around the nation, their first obligation is to stand together to protect their jobs. Our basic position is that we may not be brothers and sisters in law, but we are brothers and sisters in survival. And we will either stand together as wise and civilized people, or we will die apart as fools.
Reverend Jackson spoke further about black people in America and their economic progress. He summed his comments up by saying that now that black people have their civil rights, they now must get their silver rights. He said without them, they're just like goldfish in a bowl without water. From Seattle-Tacoma Airport, this is Joe Washington reporting.
Middle East war is a smokescreen. They tell us on television one day only 6% of our oil comes from the Middle East. And plus, we already had some reserves. How could 6 freeze 94% plus our reserves? The logic does not stand up. But though the energy hoax is striking up top, at the bottom, black men and white men are losing their jobs. That's real. Airlines for a long time have been looking for a way to reduce flights and workers and increase passengers and profits. They have no more concern about the white pilot than the black sky cap. They're dealing in profit and loss, asset and liability.
The Reverend Jackson told the capacity-filled audience that the president can't take care of the nation's business because he has too much personal business. Then, in contradicting the stereotype that black people are lazy, the Reverend Jackson said the tradition of black folk is not one of not working, but one of working and not getting paid. He then said the hands that once picked cotton can now, in 1974, pick presidents. I'm Art Morrison reporting from Seattle's Mount Zion Baptist Church.
You know Reverend Bone?
Hello, how you doing?
We got a good crowd up there. A good crowd up there.
In black, Hispanic, Asian, and Indian, whether you're white, red, yellow, black, or brown, hunger hurts.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
The boat stuck at the bottom need light, and they need inspiration. And so we must turn to each other, and not on each other, and build our thrust around our common humanity.
Yes, sir.
Give it to him. Give it to him one more thing. Give it to him. Big one. A high one.
Raise it up. Raise it
Sugar.
up.
Sugar.
Up. There you go.
Bye-bye.
All right. Yes, sir. He'll remember. All right. Yes, sir.
The enthusiastic crowd of 5,000, mostly students, had been waiting an hour for Reverend Jackson, and he did not disappoint them. He began with references to Dr. King.
He shook the foundations of America's labor force and moral sensitivity.
He said history may come to be known as before and after Martin Luther King. Expounding on other familiar themes, Reverend Jackson kept the messages simple.
Let's choose the human race over the nuclear race and give peace a chance.
As he's done many times before, Jackson advocated cutting defense spending, and he criticized society for elevating greed and profit to what he calls sanctified levels. He urged a change in U.S. policy toward South Africa, a protest against apartheid.
One substantial difference between Dr. King and his contemporaries: he didn't just feel deeply, he acted boldly. We must not allow computer speed and greed to kill our instincts, our feeling and compassion.
After being interrupted numerous times for applause, Jackson ended his speech with a tribute to his role model and friend.
We thank God that you came this way. Happy birthday, Martin Luther King. One substantial difference between Dr. King and his contemporaries: he didn't just feel deeply, he acted boldly. We must not allow computer speed and greed to kill our instincts, our feeling and compassion. And so that we can, you need to fast to feel pain.
If you had to characterize the program tonight, rededication would be one word, revival would be another. The choirs brought the audience to its feet more than once. But it was the Reverend Jesse Jackson who raised the roof. His message was almost identical to his speech earlier in Lacey: the condemnation of U.S. partnership with apartheid in South Africa, the shameful negligence of U.S. intervention to help starving Ethiopians.
On last night, my wife and a delegation of women got back from Ethiopia with their hearts bleeding and yet more resolved and more determined than ever to wipe out hunger.
The petrifying reality of nuclear warfare.
The human race over the nuclear race and bury the weapons and not bury the earth and burn the people.
Reverend Jackson held the audience's attention for an hour with frequent interruptions of applause and a volcanic explosion of response when he finished. But he wasn't finished. Beckoned back to the podium by a highly receptive crowd, he encouraged people to put their money where their mouths were.
Now, I want those of you who are present to support the Rainbow Coalition, to keep this movement alive.
That surprise move generated at least $10,000 for the Rainbow Coalition to continue to grow and expand. Reverend Jackson's speech was attended by more than 3,000 people, some coming from as far as Oregon and Canada, to hear the rededication of commitment to Dr. King's philosophy.
Without a shot of heroin, without a sniff of cocaine, without an elected office, without a private membership in a club of privilege, without any of that, he shook the world.
His appeal was broad, in line with the concept of Jackson's Rainbow Coalition, an appeal to wipe out all human suffering and reverse the trend of greed for power and money.
This missile buildup is too dangerous and too costly and too likely to take place. Give Dr. King a present. Choose the human race over the nuclear race. You better feel yourself into a way of thinking and not just think devoid of feeling.
And he reminded the audience that the real birthday gift for Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. is to make philosophy a practice.
We'll wipe out malnutrition. We'll go back down the the woods where the old folk are there by themselves, all alone, and we'll reach out for them. As we'd like for somebody to reach out to us. Happy birthday, Dr. King.
Connie Thompson, KOMO News, Seattle.
It's a way to heal people. It's a way to bring people back together again. It's a way of turning tax consumers into tax producers. It's a way of healing homes. Our government must have more commitment to putting people on their feet on earth than to a spacewalk.
Clear! Seattle doesn't want your consulate here! Hey, South Africa, isn't it clear? Seattle doesn't want your consulate here! Hey, South Africa, isn't it clear? Seattle doesn't want your consulate here!
It's been a long year, and we've been out here 1 year today. We came out here because last year at this time, there was a call from South Africa that said,
Hey, South Africa, isn't it clear? Seattle doesn't want your consulate here!
Nobody needed to introduce this man. Jesse Jackson came because he and more than 4,000 people who have demonstrated here in the past year believe in the same thing.
And the press will not rest until they have equity and parity and respect.
The Reverend Jackson commended the Seattle Committee Against Apartheid for a whole year of work here at the South African Consulate. But he called on them to do more, to interfere with trade between the United States and South Africa, and to move from here down to the waterfront.
Our challenge today is to expand this struggle. We must keep marching at the consulate, but we cannot stop here. We must find ourselves engaging in acts of civil disobedience at the shipyard. We must put focus on trade. We must challenge those who work on the ships to not load another ship going to South Africa or coming from South Africa.
Jackson told the demonstrators the year ahead will see more sit-ins, more physical confrontation. But as only Jesse Jackson can, he offered them hope.
Through all of this darkness, there is a light. Maintain your hope. Don't give up your faith. For in some sense, were it not for the evil in South Africa today, the good of this coalition would not be standing here together. In some sense, the evil of that system has pulled the good out of us.
Jackson told the crowd 1986 will not be easy, and apartheid will not die easily. But he said change will come, and he said their work will make it come sooner. Brooke Stanford, KOMO News, in Madison Park. It's been a whole year of weekly marches in front of the South African Consulate, and it is still open. But Reverend Jackson had words of encouragement.
Through all of this darkness, there is a light. Maintain your hope. Don't give up your faith.
Jackson called on people to interfere with trade by sit-ins and by encouraging longshoremen not to handle South African goods. And he said some insurance companies must change their priorities.
Many of these American insurance companies, they divest from inner city USA and invest in South Africa. They must reverse that policy and invest in America and divest from South Africa. That's our challenge.
Jackson said if the U.S. and Britain withhold investment and stop trading with South Africa, the racist government there would collapse. And he said that kind of change is better than the kind of violence that will otherwise come. Brooke Stanford, KOMO News, in Madison Park.
The band played, even the cheerleaders danced, but the game here today was life, and the star was a former country preacher.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Reverend Dr. Jesse Louis Jackson.
8 years ago, Jesse Jackson first came to Seattle, calling on teachers and students to rededicate themselves to excellence. Today, 4,500 students came from Seattle area schools for another lesson.
Repeat these words. I am somebody. I am somebody. Red and yellow. Brown, black, and white. We're all precious in God's sight. Everybody.
Statistics show many black students in Seattle schools are getting poorer grades than whites and other minorities. Jackson says that's not right, pointing the finger at lower expectations by teachers and parents. But the students also share the blame.
If you spent the same 4 hours, 6 days a week on reading, writing, and counting, you'd make A's in that just like you make A's in football. There's nothing magic about it.
Are drugs in our schools really a problem? Well, take a look behind me.
These young people, about a fourth of the students, stepped forward when Jackson asked who was taking drugs or who had experimented with them. It was an eye-opening experience.
Most everything that he said was true, and you know, like he was saying, everybody just need to crack down and get on the books. Because like for me, you know, I need to get on the books so I could try to get a football scholarship out of here, you know, make something of myself.